sang in the choir.
We moved here in '76, and I started to sing in the choir then, and I stopped about a year and a half ago.
Wow.
So that's what, 30-some years.
That's a long time.
That was my whole life.
So, what's your favorite song to sing?
I really love hymns, but I like the ones that tell a story.
Yeah.
The way I always felt, and I always felt that the most important thing when you're choosing something to sing is that it presents a message to the people. I think I could be fair in saying that I like the Lutheran Church the best because I like the liturgy. And to me, the liturgy is one of the most important things in the service.
So, what's your favorite thing to bake?
Oh, I like to bake pies or sweet rolls. My family always enjoyed sour cherry pie. My husband used to go down in the woods and pick the cherries and sit and seed all of them, so I would make pies for him. But I would say probably cherry and apple.
People like your apple pie? Is that like what people know you best for? Or?
Well, I guess so. We had a fundraiser some years ago, and they asked me to make apple pie, and my pie sold for $34.
Wow!
For one pie. So
Wow.
I guess they liked it.
You sure have done a lot for the church. I mean, it's really amazing how you've sang so long. So,
You know what, sweetheart? That's a part of me. And not being able to do it anymore, it's like losing an arm.
yeah.
That's who I am, that's who I was, that's what I've been all my life. To me, that was the way to bring God's message to people.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very important that, you've sang for so long and you really do dedicate your time to church. So that's really cool. So thank you for that.
You're-
I saw that your family donated those flowers today in memory of your wife, Marion. How long were you guys married?
We were married February 2nd, which is Groundhog Day, at 9 o'clock in the morning in Pierce, South Dakota in 1947. About 69 years ago.
Okay.
Wow.
Come February 2nd.
Okay.
My wife didn't appreciate my sense of humor. She was a very serious-minded person. She passed away on Valentine's Day in 2014. We had a long marriage and 2 children.
How did you guys meet?
I was stationed in her hometown in Pierce, South Dakota during World War II.
And that's another question. I know that you served in World War II. What branch of the military?
The Army Air Corps. Army Air Corps was on then. Today it's the Air Force. At that time it was part of the Army.
Mm. Were you stationed overseas?
Yes, I was in the Pacific. I was there when they dropped the bombs.
I also know that you're involved with the recycling ministry here.
But I haul the stuff. It's just a little small. I put it in the back of my car and take it over and dump it in the recycle bins and then bring the containers back.
The messenger ministry. How did you get involved?
Yeah, I work on the bulletins here on Thursday morning. Staple the bulletins. I'm not very smart, but pretty strong. I staple bulletins and fold them and put them back for the ushers to get on Sunday morning.
So you do that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Those are very useful. I use them like all that.
Bee Miller asked me if I would help. So I took Bee's place, and she passed away, and they just let me stay on. Haven't fired me yet.
I guess not. You're doing a great job.
What is your favorite sports team?
Well, it's amazing. Being from Pittsburgh, I consider myself a citizen of the Steeler Nation.
So, I heard you run the Primetimers Ministry.
the fellowship group. The county provides buses for some 300 or 400 organizations like ours. What I do is I know up to 6 months ahead of time when we're going to have a bus, and I try to find something that's interesting that's going on that date. We just a few weeks ago, our event was at the Houston Family Arts Center, which I never knew about until there's an article in the Chronicle talking about their production of that version of that famous film, It's a Wonderful Life. You get anywhere from sometimes 20 members going to these events. And I've enjoyed it. It's a contribution. And we have a faithful group. We're very happy with this church here. We got used to a church of moderate size because of nice to know the people well.
So, how long have you been married? Frank and I have been married for 62 years, and we met in college.
How many children and grandchildren do you have?
We have 2 daughters. One daughter lives here in Kingwood and the other in Phoenix. We have 5 grandchildren, all grown up, and we have 4 great-grandchildren, and we have 2 more on the way.
So, can you tell me about any previous careers you've had?
Yes, I spent most of my time as a teacher. All told, I probably taught for 30 years. And I had also worked as a secretary, which I didn't tell you. Frank was in the service when we first married, and we went to France, so I worked for the Army in France as a secretary.
So, how long have you been in the choir here at church?
Well, I've been in the choir since we moved here, so that would be almost 15 years.
So, are you in any other ministries here at Holy Comforter?
Yes, I participate in the women's group. When I first moved here, I wanted to meet the women, so I went to the women's meetings. And so this is the first year I haven't been on the board, so I've served in numerous offices within the women's group. I belong to 3 circles.
You've been here, a member at this church for a very long time.
Yes,
How long?
50 years.
What were some of the changes that you have seen in the church?
It's grown, the way it's run has changed. Every time you have a different pastor, they go through different things. It has the biggest effect on Sunday school for teenagers.
What was your inspiration, or what did you feel inspired to write about in God and the Teenager?
I finished college and I was 19 years old. And I came to this church and they wanted me to teach for a couple of weeks. So this lady, the teenage class teacher, was going on a trip over Christmas. So I was going to take her place. It was a real challenge for me. I did it in a very different way, which is what the book expresses.
What was your motivation to help Mauritania?
My major motivation in that was providing the food. It was strange in some parts of the world, North Africa good example. They'll have an area that has water in it, drinking water. The thing I showed them, you can drink salt water if you get rid of the salt. So I showed them how they can get a pipe, put salt water went in out the back, and 250 feet away, the water coming out is fresh water.
What is your favorite testament of the Bible?
That's an interesting question. A lot of them that are good, and there's some that are bad, but you still learn something in a good way. I think Romans is good, Paul is good.
So what would be one of your favorite verses in the Bible?
After 78 years, I think they're all special. But the things that the Bible tells you are the things that you want to remember. It tells you how to live and how not to live.
When did you become a member of church?
1979, and I had lived here just 5 days.
Wow.
And we came to church that first Sunday.
Why did you choose this church?
Well, number one, I'm a 5th generation Lutheran. It's the only Lutheran church around without going into Humble. So I wouldn't go anywhere else but here, and that is just 2 streets away. And I figured that would be one sure way that my children got to Sunday school and to catechism if something came about. I didn't have a car.
What do you do here?
I do a whole lot of variety of things, whatever I see we need to do to pitch in. But my love here is the prayer ministry.
Can you tell me how you became involved in that?
Actually, the prayer ministry started gradually in 2006. By 2007, we were very active and very busy. And our prayer ministry consists of anywhere from 15 to 20 members. But actually, this prayer ministry began when my husband had a stroke, at which time they found a brain tumor. He had that tumor removed, and then 1 year later to the day, he had a heart attack in the car. I realized then we did have a small prayer ministry, but without Marcia Seal and Pastor Barb, I do not know what I would have done. So once we got through that, 2007, we had the prayer ministry going strongly. The prayer ministry always makes us feel good just knowing that someone else cares about you. But the most heartwarming and touching things are when one tells us they can feel our prayers, and some tell us that they actually feel God with them. I try to do prayers with scriptures now. But 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 16 through 18 tell us to pray continually, rejoice always, and give thanks in all things. And one would think, how can you do that? Well, if you listen and listen, you are automatically with the Holy Spirit all day long.